Hello children, this is your second session of biology for the standard of 7. So last class we saw about the plant kingdom. In this session you are going to see about the animal kingdom. So I said what are the importance of classification, why we have to classify. So classification means grouping the organisms according to their characteristics. So that is called classification. Based on the characters, based on their appearance, they will be put into different groups. Likewise, in animal kingdom, we have taken the animals alone. All the multicellular animals are taken together and grouped. Let us see in detail. So first is the person who discovered it is R.H. Whittaker. So he was the one who classified the animal kingdom. So he grouped different animals based on their characteristics. Then based on what are the characteristics, that is the cell structure, mode of nutrition and the body design. So he classified the organism based on the cell structure, whether it is eukaryotic or prokaryotic. So based on the cell structure, he classified it, and based on the mode of nutrition, that is how they consume their food, whether it is autotrophic or heterotrophic, whether they depend on the other organisms or they prepare their own food. So based on that, that is mode of nutrition, the classification is made. Next is the body design, how they appear, the outer appearance of the animals. So these are the three bases of the classification, that is the cell structure, mode of nutrition and the body design. So who discovered it? R.H. Whittaker. So we'll go back to the 5 kingdom now. So the 5 kingdom is divided into 5 parts, that is first is Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae and animalia. So here you can see the animalia part. So we are going to take this kingdom alone and see it in detail. So all the living things are taken together and grouped into 5 parts. So in that we are going to take this animal alone, from Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae and animalia. We are going to see about the animals alone. So it includes all the animals. Like I said, in the animal kingdom, all the animals are taken and characterized. They are grouped, they are classified. So it includes all the animals. It is the largest kingdom. So comparing to all these kingdoms, this Animalia kingdom is only the largest kingdom. So more number of organisms are taken and classified. So that is why it is said as it is the largest kingdom. So multicellular eukaryotes. In this kingdom, only multicellular eukaryotes are present. Multicellular means many cell organisms. In one organism, many cells, trillions of cells, lakhs of cells will be present. Each cell will have their own specific function. So they are only called as multicellular organisms. So they are the highest organisms. Eukaryotes means eukaryotic cell also will be present only in higher organisms. So well-defined cell organelles will be present in eukaryotes. So such multicellular eukaryotics are placed under kingdom Animalia. So the animal kingdom. So these are the 3 characteristics of animal kingdom. What are they? In the animal kingdom, it includes all the animals. It is the largest kingdom and all the multicellular eukaryotes are present in the animal kingdom. So next we are moving on to the classification. So this animal kingdom is comprised of 10 phylums. So we are going to see one by one. So first phylum is the phylum Porifera. Phylum Porifera. So organisms with holes. So these Porifera organisms have holes in it. Those organisms which have holes in their body comes under the phylum Porifera. So example, sponges. So these sponges are found in the water. They will have holes all over their body if you have seen sponges means. So these sponges comes under come under porifera. Example, sponges. So these animals are non-motile. Non-motile means they cannot move from one place. They do not have legs or flagella or anything. They will stand in the same place. Motile means moving. Non-motile means they cannot move. So next is multicellular. Like we saw here, multicellular eukaryotes. These porifera animals are multicellular. They have many cells, many group of cells. Each cell will have their own function. Next is hard outer skeleton. Hard outer skeleton. So they will have a very strong body structure. Unlike plants, you have seen sponge means it will be very small, but it is very strong. The skeleton system will be very strong. The outer skeleton system is very hard. So this porifera animals will be strong. So the organisms with holes, example sponges, non-motile, multicellular, hard outer skeleton. Next is porous body. Porous body. Porous is nothing but the holes. If there is holes all over the body, then it is called as porous. So these porifera animals are porous and they have many holes in it. So that is the main point you have to remember. Next is the canal system. They have a canal system inside them. What this canal system does is it transports water and food. So it may look like a plant, it may be very small, but the internal structure of these organisms, these animal kingdom organisms are well organized. So they have a canal system that transports water and food. So these are the few characteristics of phylum Porifera. So what are they? The organisms with holes, example sponges. They are non-motile, that is they cannot move. Multicellular means many cells. Hard outer skeleton. They have a very strong skeleton system and porous body, that is body with the holes, and canal system. They have a canal system to transport and support the water and food to move through the body. For the circulation of food and water, this canal system is used. So we are moving on to the second phylum. Phylum Coelenterata. Phylum Coelenterata. So this Coelenterata has more body differentiation. So comparing to this phylum will be a much more advanced phylum. So what happens here? Comparing to this phylum, this will have more body differentiation. That is, they will have many organs in their body or developed organs. So those are come under the more body differentiation. Then they live in water. These phylum Coelenterata lives in water. They live in water. That is, they are aquatic. Aquatic animals comes under Coelenterata. Next is sac-like cavity. Sac-like. A sac-like cavity is present inside its body. It may be for digestion or any other organ system metabolic processes. So sac-like cavity. They have a sac-like cavity inside their body. Example, jellyfish. So Coelenterata comes under the jellyfish species. So these jellyfishes have few body differentiation. That is the top shell and their tentacles. So few body differentiation has been done. Comparing to sponges, the jellyfish has few features. That's why they have more body differentiation. And you know, jellyfish lives in water only. Inside them, they will have a sac-like cavity for digestion. Example, jellyfish. So these jellyfish are diploblastic. Diploblastic. Diploblastic means the skin layer of them will have two main tissue layers. The skin layer, the outer skin layer will have two main tissues. So they will have an ectoderm. The outer covering is the ectoderm, and inside them the endoderm will be present. So two layers are present on the outer covering. So diplo, di means two. So diploblastic. So two layers are present. That is the ectoderm and the endoderm. So these are the few characteristics of phylum Coelenterata. Then next is phylum Ctenophora. Phylum Ctenophora. So they are also known as sea walnuts or comb jellies. These animals, these Ctenophora phylum animals are called as sea walnuts or comb jellies. So these two are the other names for this phylum. So they are marine. So they live in the sea water, that is marine. So they live in sea water, marine, and radial symmetry. These animals are radial symmetry. The Ctenophora animals are radial symmetry. So radial means when you take the organism as a whole and cut it in any axis, it will be divided into equal halves. If you cut in any directions, it will be divided into equal halves. So that is why they are called as radial symmetry. Those animals are called as radial symmetry. So these Ctenophora animals, if you take and divide them at any axis, it will be divided into equal halves. So that is why they are called as radial symmetry. Next is 8 external rows of ciliated combs for locomotion. So they will have 8 external rows. So rows, 8 rows of, that will be external, not internal. Ciliated means, ciliated combs means it will be like small legs. It will be, cilia will be very small hair-like structure. So they will be present. The 8 rows of this hair-like structure will be present externally. For what? For locomotion. That is for movement. So imagine the animal is here. It will have 8 rows of small hairs which will be like legs for moving, for locomotion. So 8 external rows of ciliated combs for locomotion. So example, fluorobrachia. What are they? Fluorobrachia. So this is an example for phylum Ctenophora. So these are the characteristics of phylum Ctenophora. So we'll go through once again. These phylum Ctenophora, they are known as sea walnuts or comb jellies. So these Ctenophora are also called as sea walnuts or comb jellies. Then next, they are marine. They live in sea water only. And radial symmetry. That is, if you take the animal and cut it in any direction, it will be divided into equal halves. Then 8 external rows of ciliated combs. So there will be 8 rows of small hairs of rows for movement. That is for locomotion. Example, fluorobrachia. So these are the characteristics of phylum Ctenophora. Next is phylum Platyhelminthes. Phylum Platyhelminthes. So these Platyhelminthes are flatworms. So all the flatworms comes under the Platyhelminthes. So they are flattened dorsiventrally. That is, from the name itself we can tell they are flatworms. So their body will be flattened. Dorsiventrally means, dorsal means the lower side, ventral means the upper side. So both these sides will be different. So they will be differently flattened. So that's why they are called as flattened dorsiventrally. Then they are the first triploblastic animal. First triploblastic animal. animal. So here we saw diploblastic for porifera, but here triplo, 3 layers. So there only 2 layers are present. One is ectoderm and endoderm, but here 3 layers will be present. The ectoderm, in the middle the mesoderm and the endoderm. So 3 layers will be present here. So such type of organization of the body wall is first present in phylum Platyhelminthes only. So that is why they tell it is the first triploblastic animal. It is the first organism, first animal to have 3 germ layers, that is 3 body layers. Example, liver fluke. So these liver flukes are the flatworms. So they will be like worms, and they will be flattened on the dorsal side also, on the ventral side also. Both these sides they will be flattened differently, and they are the first triploblastic animal. Example, liver fluke. So these are the few characteristics of Platyhelminthes, phylum Platyhelminthes. So now we have seen 4 phylums. I will give you a recap from the first. So first what we saw, the animal kingdom. Who discovered it? R.H. Whittaker. So he was the one who discovered the animal kingdom, R.H. Whittaker. So based on 3 characteristics he classified the animals. First is the structure, cell structure, mode of nutrition and the body design. How the cell is formed, how they consume food, mode of nutrition and the body design, how the outer body is designed. So we are moving back to the 5 kingdom classification. In 5 kingdom classification, Monera, Protista, fungi, plantae, animalia. So it is divided, all the living things are taken and divided into 5 kingdoms. So we are going to concentrate only in the animalia alone, that is the animal kingdom alone. So in this animal kingdom, it includes all the animals. All the animals are included under animal kingdom. It is the largest kingdom. It is the largest kingdom. Multicellular eukaryotes are present. So many cell, well-defined organelle. So those kind of organisms are present in animal kingdom. Next is we are moving on to the classification. So first is phylum Porifera. So organisms with holes. When the organism body is full of holes, then they are called as Porifera. It belongs to Porifera. Example, sponges. They are non-motile. That is, they cannot move from one place to another. Multicellular, many-celled and hard outer skeleton. It will have a outer skeleton. It will be very hard. The body is very strong. And porous body. The body will be full of pores. And a canal system is present for transporting water and food. So skeleton system is present, a canal system is present, and it will have pores in it. Example, sponges. So next is the phylum Coelenterata. So they have more body differentiation. So the body parts, many body parts are present in Coelenterata. So they live in water. Phylum Coelenterata live in water, and inside them they will have a sac-like cavity for digestion. So then example, jellyfish. So these jellyfish will have 2 layers, 2 germ layers on their body. One is ectoderm and endoderm. So these are the characteristics of Coelenterata. For Coelenterata, example, jellyfish. Next is phylum Ctenophora. So phylum Ctenophora is also known as sea walnuts or comb jellies. Sea walnuts or comb jellies, and they are marine. They live in sea water and radial symmetry. If you take the animal and cut it in any direction, it will be divided into equal halves, and there are 8 external rows of ciliated combs for locomotion. So there will be 8 rows of small hair-like structures for movement. Example, Pleurobrachia. Urobrachia. Next is phylum Platyhelminthes. So all the flatworms are come under Platyhelminthes, and they are flattened dorsiventrally. Flattened dorsiventrally. They will be very flat on the upper and lower side also. So dorsal is the lower part and ventral is the upper part. So both the sides will be flattened. So it is the first triploblastic animal. So it is the first animal with 3 germ layers. That is the endoderm, the mesoderm and the ectoderm. So those animals are called as triploblastic. So it is the first animal to have 3 germ layers. Example, liver fluke. Example, liver fluke. Now we are going to see the other phylums of animal kingdom. So let us see. Next is the phylum Aschelminthes. Phylum Aschelminthes. It is circular in cross section. When the animal is taken and the cross section is taken, it will be in circular shape. So that is why those worms, all the round worms comes under Aschelminthes. Why they are called as round worms is when they are taken and a section is taken of the animal, it will be in the shape of the body will be circular. So that is why it is called as round worms. All the round worms, when they are taken and cross section is taken, it will be circular in shape. Then next is they are free living. Free living means they can survive in any conditions. So they can survive in water, they can survive in the terrestrial place, so they can survive in all places. So some of them will be free living and some will be aquatic or terrestrial. Some of the Aschelminthes animals will be in aquatic. They may live in water alone and some may survive in land also. And some are parasitic. So parasitic means what they will do, they will depend on the host plant. They will select any host plant or animal and they get attached to it. What they will do, they will suck the nutrients from the host animal. So that is called parasitic. Parasites means those that are dependent on the host plant or animal are called parasites. So in the phylum Aschelminthes, the animals may be free living, they may be aquatic or terrestrial and parasitic. So based on there are different types of animals that are put together and they have different living habitats. Then next is they are bilateral. So I already told you bilateral means when the animal is taken and can be divided into, we saw radial. Bilateral means when the animal is taken and divided in the center axis, it will get divided into 2 parts, 2 equal halves. So those are called bilateral symmetry. There we saw radial symmetry. When they are cut in any axis, it will be divided into equal halves. But here, when they are cut in the central axis, it will be divided into 2 equal halves. So these Aschelminthes are bilateral. Triploblastic. So triploblastic means they have 3 germ layers, that is the endoderm, the mesoderm and the ectoderm. They will have 3 layers of tissues on the body. And next is pseudocoelomate. Pseudocoelomate means coelom means body cavity. So pseudocoelomate, pseudo means false. Pseudo cavity. So false cavity will be present. So these cavities will be present in the walls of intestinal walls and body walls. So cavity, an empty space will be present. So if this cavity is false, a fake cavity is present in Aschelminthes. A structure is there, but it is not cavity. So they call it as false cavity. That is pseudocoelomate. Pseudo means false, coelom means body cavity. So that's why it's called as pseudocoelomate. They are bilateral, triploblastic and pseudocoelomate. Then next is the phylum Annelida. Phylum Annelida. So they have different habitats. These Annelida phylum have many living areas. So they are from various different areas. Then they are bilateral. What did I say for bilateral? When they are taken and divided in the central axis, they will divide into two equal halves. So those are called bilateral. And triploblastic means they will have three germ layers in their body wall. So those are ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. Three germ layers. Then true body cavity. True body cavity. These are coelomate. So here we saw pseudocoelomate. Pseudo means false. These true body cavity, those which have true body cavity are called coelomates. So they will have a real cavity in their intestinal wall and body walls. So those are called true body cavity. Those are called coelomates. And they are differentiated into many parts. So these Annelida will have various body parts, different types of body parts in them. So that's why they have differentiated to many parts. They are differentiated to many parts. So these are the characteristics of phylum Annelida. Then we are moving to the next phylum, phylum Arthropoda. Phylum Arthropoda. So these are the largest group in animal kingdom. Largest group in animal kingdom. So from all the phylums, from the 11 phylums, this is the largest group. All the insects are included under Arthropoda. All the insects are included under Arthropoda. So Arthropoda, this word means jointed legs. They will have jointed legs. So Arthropoda means jointed legs. Their body will be differentiated into three parts. One is the head, the thorax and the abdomen. So head part, thorax is the chest part and abdomen is the stomach area. So they will be divided into, their body will be divided into three parts. The head region, the thorax region and the abdominal region. So these are the three regions of Arthropoda. So example, butterfly. So you have seen butterfly, housefly. So these are the common flies that we can see. So these come under Arthropoda only. So it is the largest group in animal kingdom. All the insects are included. Arthropoda means jointed legs. Their body is differentiated into three regions: head, thorax and abdomen. Example, butterfly and housefly. So these are the characteristics under Arthropoda. Next is phylum Mollusca. Phylum Mollusca. So it is the second largest animal phylum. So this is the first one. Second one is the Mollusca. Phylum Mollusca. After Arthropoda, this is the second one. It will have more species in it. So that is why it is the second largest animal phylum. So it may be terrestrial or aquatic. Terrestrial or aquatic. Terrestrial means they may live in land, or aquatic means they may live in water also. So some of these species may live in land and some may live in water also. So that's why they are terrestrial or aquatic. Then they are bilateral. So when they are taken and when they are divided in the central axis, it will divide into two equal halves. So they are bilateral. Triploblastic means they will have three germ layers on their body wall. One is the endoderm, mesoderm and ectoderm. So that's why they are called as triploblastic. Diverse group. This mollusca is a diverse group. Diverse means different group. Many varieties of organisms are present in this mollusca. More number of species, more types of species are present in mollusca. So that's why it is a diverse group. Examples, snails, mussels. So these are some of the aquatic plants. So these mussels and all will be beneficial. So they get, some will, in foreign countries around, they will consume as food. So these mussels and snails, you know. So these all come under the phylum Mollusca. Snails and mussels come under the phylum Mollusca. So it is the second largest animal phylum. It may be live in land or water. It is bilateral and triploblastic. It is a diverse group. Example, snails and mussels. So these are the characteristics under phylum Mollusca. Then next we are moving on to the next phylum, phylum Echinodermata. Phylum Echinodermata. So they have a spiny skin. Spiny means where thorny, the skin will be very thorny and hard. So that's why they tell the skin will be very spiny skin. They will live in marine habitat. They will live in marine habitat. That is, they will live in the sea water, the salt water where the sea is present. Those are called marine. In such places only these Echinodermata will survive. Next is they are free living. They are free living. They can survive in any conditions. They can go survive in any conditions. So those are called free living. So these Echinodermata, it is a free living organism. Next is in larva stage. When these Echinodermata, when they are in larva stage, they exhibit bilateral symmetry. That is, when the larva is taken and divided in the central axis, it will divide into two equal halves. But when they grow, when they turn into an adult, they will exhibit the radial symmetry. Radial symmetry means when the animal is taken and divided at any axis, it will give equal halves. So those are called radial symmetry. So in larva stage, it will exhibit bilateral symmetry, but in adult, it will exhibit radial symmetry. So these are the characteristics under phylum Echinodermata. Next is phylum Hemichordata. Phylum Hemichordata. So these phylum are under non-chordata. So these Hemichordata, it comes under the non-chordata phylum. So chordata, this term means backbone. If the backbone is present, if it has a backbone, if any animal has a backbone, those are considered as chordates. When it does not have a backbone, then they are considered as non-chordates. So these Hemichordata comes under non-chordata. So it is a small group of worms like marine animals. So it is a small group. It is a very small group. Since it comes under non-chordata, it is a group. Those groups are for worms only. Mostly marine, those which lives in water. Those worms, marine animal worms, comes under this Hemichordata. So last is the phylum Chordata. Phylum Chordata. I already told you. Chordates means those which have backbones. So those which do not have backbones are called as non-chordates. So notochord and nerve cord is present. Notochord and nerve cord is present. So in animals like Amphioxus and other organisms, it won't have bones. It will have notochord in the back. The whole body will be covered by a cartilaginous substance, not bones. Instead of bones, instead of the backbone, for lower organisms like Amphioxus, the notochord will be present. Then nerve cord. Nerve cord means we have the central nervous system. Like that, the lower organisms will have the nerve cord. That is from the brain. It is connected in the back. We have the spinal cord. The central nervous system is called the nerve cord. It will have the notochord and nerve cord. All the phylum Chordatas have notochord and nerve cord. So these phylum Chordata has three subphyla. So what are they? Urochordata, Cephalochordata and Vertebrates. Urochordata, Cephalochordata and vertebrates. These Urochordata in their larva stage, when they do not grow before the larva stage, they will have the notochord present. But when they are developed into an adult, it won't be present. But in Cephalochordata, after it has grown, it will start from the head to the tail. The notochord will be present from the head to the tail in Cephalochordata. Whereas in vertebrates, no chordata will be present, no notochord will be present, but the backbones, the bones will be present. The notochord will be converted into bones. So those are called vertebrates. Urochordata means in larva stage they will have notochord. In Cephalochordata means when they are become into an adult, when they are grown, from the brain to the tail they will have the notochord. And vertebrata means instead of notochord, bones will be present. So these are the three subphylum. So now we have seen all the phylums in the animal kingdom. So we have totally 11 phylums in the animal kingdom. Now I will give a recap from this topic. So the fifth one is phylum Aschelminthes. When they are taken and a cross section, it will be in circular. So example, roundworms. So they are free living. They may live in water or land and are parasitic. Free living, aquatic or terrestrial and parasitic. They are bilateral. When taken and divided in the central axis, they will divide into two equal halves. They have three germ layers: endoderm, mesoderm and ectoderm. So that is called as triploblastic and pseudocoelomate. They have false body cavity in them. Next is phylum Annelida. They have different habitats. So they live in different types of habitats and they are bilateral. When taken and divided, they will, in the central axis, they will divide into two equal halves, and triploblastic, they have three germ layers. They have true body cavity. Coelomates, they are coelomates, true body cavity, and differentiated into many parts. They will have many different types of parts. So these are the characteristics under Annelida. And next is phylum Arthropoda. This is the largest group in the animal kingdom. All the insects are included under the phylum Arthropoda. So Arthropoda means jointed legs. The body of the Arthropoda, the insects, are divided into three. One is the head, thorax. Thorax is the chest part, and abdomen, the stomach part. Example, butterfly and housefly. So next is phylum Mollusca. This is the second largest animal phylum. It may be terrestrial. It may live in land or aquatic. It may live in water also. So they are bilateral. When taken and divided in the central axis, it will divide into two. Triploblastic means it has three germ layers. It is a diverse group. It is consists of many different types of groups. Example, snails and mussels. Snails and mussels. Next is phylum Echinodermata. So they have a spiny skin. So they have a very rough and thorny skin. They live in marine habitat. They live in water, the sea water, and they are free living. They can survive any type of conditions. And in larva stage, they will exhibit bilateral symmetry. Bilateral means when they are taken, divided in the central axis, it will divide into two equal halves. But when they develop into an adult, they will exhibit radial symmetry. Radial symmetry means when the adult is taken and divided at any axis, it will divide into equal halves. So those are called radial symmetry. In adult stage, they will exhibit radial symmetry. And the 10th one is the phylum Hermechordata. Hermechordata. Phylum under non-chordata. So these phylum are put under non-chordata. That is those that do not have backbone. Small group of worms. So it is a small group of worms like marine animals. So all the marine animals, the small planktons, the zootonics, all the worms are put under this Hemichordata. And next is the phylum Chordata. So phylum Chordata have backbones. All the animals have backbones. So notochord and nerve cord are present in the phylum Chordata. So notochord is like a backbone. So those will be present in the phylum Chordata. So example, for animals like Amphioxus, the notochord will be present in the whole body, the end of the body. That is, if for humans, the backbone. For the Amphioxus, the notochord will be present, and nerve cord is like the central nervous system. The central nervous system will be present in chordates. So these chordata is divided into three subphyla. First is the Urochordata. These Urochordata will have notochord in the larva stage. As they grow, it won't be present. Next is the Cephalochordata. In Cephalochordata, they will have from the head to the tail, the notochord will be present. And finally, vertebrates. So these are the highest form of organism. Here, the notochord is not present. Instead of the notochord, it will be converted into bones. So those are called vertebrates. It is the highest form. So these are the different 11 phylums of animal kingdom. So your questions, classwork will be given through the WhatsApp group. Try to copy without any spelling mistakes and learn for the exam children. Thank you.